Now, Market Day on the SBS On The Money podcast. Hi everyone, just taking you through the RBA decision on interest rates. It's coming live in about 90 seconds time. The market is anticipating the first rate cut since November 2020. Of course, that cash rate is at 4.35%. Expectations are that it may fall to 4.1%, although nothing is guaranteed. We'll know in a few moments' time. One of the reasons why the market expects that cash rate to fall is because the underlying inflation rate is falling faster than what the RBA expects. So that last underlying inflation rate came in at 3.2%. The RBA's previous forecast in its statement on monetary policy, which incidentally we'll get an update on today, had it at about 3.4. So it's coming in a little bit better than expected. The thing is, though, that the RBA will also have to consider where the rest of the economy is, including the labour market. The labour market is still fairly resilient despite high interest rates, with that unemployment rate at 4%. So the RBA is considering, hey, inflation's starting to fall. It's heading towards our 2 to 3% target band. That's a good thing. It warrants, or main rate is still pretty low, and it's supporting jobs. So we're just waiting for the official details from the RBA coming through, which should be in just a few moments' time. The Australian dollar is currently trading at about 63.45. If the RBA doesn't cut, let's have a look what it does. Hold on a second. Here we go. Statement by the RBA. It has cut interest rates by 25 basis points. So the Reserve Bank has cut interest rates by 25 basis points to 4.1%. What happens now is that the RBA releases its accompanying statement. So I'll have a quick look at that live with you right now. It says inflation has fallen substantially since the peak. We know this. It acknowledges there are some upside risks. I might go to the end of the statement because that'll tell us something in more detail. It says sustainability in returning inflation to target within a reasonable time frame remains the board's highest priority. Longer-term inflation expectations have been consistent with the inflation target. Let's have a look at what else it says. The board is going to continue to look at data coming in to decide whether or not it'll see further rate cuts down the track. So in doing so, it'll pay close attention to developments in the global economy and financial markets. I don't think there's anything forecast. It's saying in removing a little of the policy restrictiveness in its decision today, the board acknowledges that progress has been made, but is cautious about the outlook. It's also saying that the board's assessment is that monetary policy has been restrictive and will remain so after this reduction in the cash rate. Some of the upside risks to inflation appear to have eased, and there are signs that disinflation might be occurring a little more quickly than earlier than expected. There are nevertheless risks on both sides. So there's some breaking news. So the Reserve Bank has cut official interest rates by 25 basis points. It's the first reduction since November 2020. The Reserve Bank cutting rates 4.1%. And what does that mean for your mortgage? And I think we've got some news too. One of the banks has already followed the RBA. Let's have a look. Actually, a couple have. Now, this is pretty interesting too. I'll tell you why. For quite some time, we've been waiting for the big four banks or the big banks to pass on that Reserve Bank cut. Usually there's a few days from when the RBA makes that decision and when the banks actually follow through. Well, the first one to cut rates is NAB. NAB has said it will pass on that Reserve Bank interest rate cut to its variable home loan customers from February the 28th. So NAB is reducing its standard variable home loan interest rate by 25 basis points from the 28th of February. And a minute after that, I think Westpac said the same thing. So Westpac too now also saying it'll cut its variable interest rate by 25 basis points. But on a later date, on the 4th of March. So NAB is doing it from the 28th of February, Westpac from the 4th of March. Still waiting to hear from the Commonwealth Bank and ANZ, of the big four banks anyway. But repeating that, the Reserve Bank has cut official interest rates by 25 basis points to 4.1%. It's the first rate cut since November 2020. So what does that mean for your mortgage? Well, these stats are from the team over at CanStar, and they're figures for owner-occupied 25-year loans paying principal and interest with a variable rate of 6.32%. So, for example, someone with a $500,000 loan will see their monthly repayment fall $77 per month to $3,243. If you've got a smaller loan, say $250,000, your new monthly repayment will be around $1,622. That's a fall of $38, assuming your bank passes on that Reserve Bank interest rate cut, that 20 mortgage, which will fall. Those looking to take out a loan will also have greater borrowing capacity. Again, these statistics are from the team over at CanStar. So lower interest rates will also mean a rise in the amount of money people can borrow. These figures assume the average full-time wage of around $100,000 and a 30-year owner-occupier principal and interest loan with a rate of 6.24%. So with these examples, a single person with that average full-time wage of around $100,000 will now be able to borrow around $546,000. That's an increase of $12,000, assuming, once again, the banks do pass on that rate cut. For a couple, they'll be able to borrow around $23,000 more for a home loan. And for a family would assume one person earning the full-time wage and the other person working part-time. They'll be able to borrow around $15,000 more. So once again, that breaking news, the Reserve Bank cutting official interest rates by 25 basis points to 4.1%. The Commonwealth Bank now, I can see some details here. The Commonwealth Bank is also passing on that rate cut in full from the 28th of February, and we've heard from NAB. NAB, incidentally, the first to confirm that it is passing on that 25 basis point cut to its home loan variable customers. So the Reserve Bank cutting official interest rates by 25 basis points. And let's take a look at how the market has reacted. So the Australian share market, if we take a look, has risen slightly after that announcement, well, from its low. So it's now down just 0.8%. It was down a bit further. And the Australian dollar is at 63.61. The other interesting thing that we need to take a look at, and I'm doing this live, is that the RBA has also released its statement on monetary policy. The reason why that's important is because it releases its updated forecasts for the economy. And it would appear that it may have updated its forecasts for underlying inflation. Let me take a closer look. Yeah. So it's confirmed that it now expects the underlying inflation rate to fall faster than what it had previously expected. So it's now expecting that underlying inflation rate, which is currently at 3.2%, to fall to within its target band of 2.7% in June 5. It said that underlying rate would still be at 3%. So now it's saying that inflation will fall faster than expected. Wish I could show you the chart, because what you can see is that it now expects that underlying inflation rate to be sustainably within its 2 to 3% target band starting from June. That may or may not increase the chances of further rate cuts to come. We'll speak with Paul Bloxham from HSBC later on SBS World News. I'll have his full interview on the SBS On The Money podcast today to take a look at what he thinks. But the RBA now has also updated its inflation forecast in its statement on monetary policy, where it says it now expects that underlying inflation rate to be within that 2 to 3% target band from June 2025 and stay at about 2.75% for the next 2 to 3 years, to at least June 2027. So there you have it. The Reserve Bank cutting official interest rates by 25 basis points, first time since November 2020. We'll have all the details on SBS World News. That will be coming up at 6:30 p.m. We'll have coverage out of Canberra, and I'll take a closer look at what it means for your mortgage and how the share market reacted. So once again, the Reserve Bank cutting official interest rates by 25 basis points to 4.1%, first time since November 2020.
This SBS On The Money stream is provided for informational purposes only. The content in this stream should not be understood as constituting advice or a recommendation. It is not personal advice and it does not consider your personal circumstances or objectives. You should contact a licensed professional before making any financial decision.